to be involved. That is the right word. If alleged to be involved, you protect that as evidence. You don't demolish it. Tomorrow when the case will come up in the court, I will tell as a prosecution, this is the proof. This is how they used to use it. You demolish the whole evidence. Why do you do that? Because you don't have evidence, or you want to protect the evidence?
Okay, now let me come to the other state, the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is also planning to bring in a new law to regulate madrasas across the state. The deadline was supposed to be today. They've extended it to September 10th. Now, many are asking, what is wrong if there is a law to regulate madrasas, if madrasas have to be registered with a government authority, if companies have to be registered, partnerships have to be registered, trusts have to be registered, schools have to be registered, then why should madrasas not be registered?
Well, you see, for companies, you have company law. For trust, you have a trust law. Madrasas are protected under Article 30 of our Indian Constitution, which is a fundamental right. Even the Right to Education Act is not applied on madrasas or minority private schools which don't get any aid from the state or central government. My objection is very clear. This is a targeted survey against one particular community who happen to be Muslims. Why shouldn't such a survey be done for Vidya Mandirs, for Saraswati Shishu Mandir? Why shouldn't such a survey be done for private schools in Lucknow? Why shouldn't a survey be done for all the government schools in Uttar Pradesh, especially girls' schools? How many toilets are there? How many drinking water facilities there? How many electricity connections are there? Why should a survey be done to find out that in Uttar Pradesh basic education 75,000 teachers vacancies are there? In secondary education 32,000 vacancies are there. That is why I have said that this is nothing but a small NRC is being done against those madrasas, Zaka, which get no aid. And last point, you talk about survey. There are madrasas which are registered under Uttar Pradesh Education Madrasa Board, which the government pays the salaries.
Yes.
In 5 years, the Yogi government has paid only 5 months' salary. You have only paid 5 months' salary.
No, but Mr. Owaisi,
you can't discharge your responsibilities over there.
Isn't it a legitimate question to ask that if some of these madrasas are asking for funds from state, even if it is a small amount, and even if they are not, the basic premise is even minority educational institutions which are protected under Article 30 are registered with the state. Convent schools are registered with the state. Other minority educational institutions are registered with the state. So why shouldn't madrasas be registered with the state? What is the problem?
Well, you see, if you run a school, you get a certificate from the government stating it's a minority education school.
Yes.
That is not the case with a madrasa. That is not the case with a madrasa because you don't accept the degrees which a madrasa is given. If I get a 10th class certificate from a school, it is recognized and affiliated to the state board. Here in madrasa, if a Maulana is getting a Alim Fazil degree, that is not recognized by the state government. That is why you have no right to intervene in those madrasas. Please understand, this is simple.
But isn't that exactly what the Yogi government is saying, that it's time to regulate these madrasas, it's time to bring them into the mainstream, it's time to monitor what curriculum is being taught to these children? The more they are brought to the mainstream, the better it is for those young Muslim children who are studying in these madrasas.
Well, you see, the premise of your question is completely wrong. You and the government wrongly assume that the people who study in madrasas are backward, and that is the biggest cause of backwardness of Muslims. No, the biggest cause of Muslim backwardness is the intellectual dishonesty and communalism of BJP and various other secular parties. What I teach in my madrasa, which is not getting any aid from the government, for example, Darul Deoband, Nadwatul Ulema, Darul Ashrafiyya in Mubarakpur, what right have you got to go and check? What I teach is to make them scholars of Islam. Why do you want to? And these madrasas are running openly. They're not being taught under some tunnel or somewhere else. You have no right to intervene. You have a right to intervene in those madrasas which are registered under the UP Madrasa Board. Of that, you have not paid salaries to the teachers from last 5 years. For God's sake, pay those salaries.
You will be the first one to admit.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. You will be the first one to admit that the reason why the rate of enrollment of Muslim children in recognized schools, formal schools, government schools or non-government schools, why that is lower than the rest of the community's average is because there is reluctance to send them to those schools. So to that extent, if these madrasas are formalized, if they are brought under the ambit of some regulatory approval, so isn't that good for the community? Isn't that good for education of the kids in this community?
You are completely wrong. I would request you to please read the Kundu committee report which was given to Madam Najma Heptullah, the then Minister of Minority Education. I would request you to please read page 134 of Kundu committee report.
Sir, what did the Sachar committee report say?
Completely unconnected.
No. What did the Sachar committee report say?
Sir, you don't know. Sir, listen to me, sir. The Kundu committee report is the latest report on Muslims' social, educational backwardness. Sachar is very old. I am talking about the Professor Kundu committee report. If you don't believe me, call once Professor Kundu to your program and say that this member of parliament who's infamous for making 8 speeches has said this, you'll get the right answer.
Let me come to another issue, and this is again a very touchy topic. It has been over the last week or so. This Eidgah Maidan in Bengaluru. A couple of days ago, the Supreme Court ordered status quo. Today, respected Muslim intellectuals like Mr. Faizan Mustafa have written in a newspaper that this was an opportunity for the Muslim community to lend this ground for the Ganpati festival. And we have seen this in numerous places across the country where, premises owned by Muslim bodies have been lent for Hindu festivals. So what's the problem in the Bangalore Eidgah Maidan doing the same? After all, we needn't have gone through this lengthy litigious process.
Well, Mr. Faizan Mustafa is a very learned person. He has been a great professor of the Nalsar Vice Chancellor, and unfortunately BJP government has not given him an extension, number one. But I differ with Mr. Faizan Mustafa. I agree with Mr. Faizan Mustafa as far as constitution is concerned. But I disagree with Mr. Faizan Mustafa's article in today's Indian Express. Number one, why? That is a work property. And secondly, please tell me in 66 years, you have never put a Ganpati in that place. What pleasure do you get by putting a Ganpati where you have not put in last 66 years? Please tell me. I have been using it for Eidgah, for my namaz. It is protected under 1991 Places of Religious Worship Act. And I am thankful that the Supreme Court had heard this matter. 3 judges bench have heard this matter and given a stay. Sir, what pleasure one gets, please Zakah, tell me, in last 66 years, you have not put no worship has been done over there,
sir,
apart from offering namaz.
Tell me two things.
What is the pleasure you get?
No, you said it's a Waqf property. Waqf was asked to produce the property documents both by the BBMP, the Revenue Department, and even before the courts. They were not able to produce any property documents. At least as far as today is concerned, the Waqf has not been able to show any title deed, any property papers. It is not presented before the court. That is number one.
I am sorry.
Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
No, I will not sit here and listen to all these wrong things. No,
what did I say? What did I say which is wrong? What did I say which is wrong?
Listen to me. I am quoting to you live law. When Mr. Kapil Sibal and Dushan Dave stood up and said, in the same way you have said it's not a work property, he had said you proved, you go to the court and show it's not work property. The state government should have gone to the court and said it's not a work property. What is this? The Supreme Court accepted and they have given a stay on it. Zakka Jacob, you must read, at least read what is being said on the live.
Did the Waqf produce the property papers in court? All I'm asking is a simple question. Did the Waqf produce the property papers in court? Or did it produce it before the Revenue Department of the state government?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
No.
Yes, they did. And listen to me. No, you must follow live law, and what Kapil Sibal said, you must follow that.
Sir,
please tell me.
We have our own reporters in this very same courtroom you are talking about. No property papers have been produced before the Supreme Court in the hearing that happened 2 days ago.
I will not sit here and listen to
why are you arguing on a matter of fact?
When you are deliberately lying.
No, I'm not deliberately lying.
You are
I'm
lying.
happy to be corrected.
You are lying.
I'm happy
you are
to be
deliberately
corrected.
lying. I will not sit here and
happy to be
listen.
corrected
I will not listen to this.
If
I'm
these
sorry.
same property documents are available. Anyway,
you
be that as it may.
Lying.
No, sir, what incentive do I have to lie? This is not some familial property I'm talking about. If the Waqf has the property papers, let them produce it.
You have a huge incentive,
So the whole world will know that it is Waqf property. Anyway, let me go to the next issue. You must be.
Can I rebut what you're saying? You see, you are going hammer and tongs on one-sided. You are speaking as a BJP spokesperson. Listen to me.
Sir, now come on. That's a personal attack. You have known me for a long time. You know that. You know you're being unfair to yourself.
No. I don't know you.
Okay.
I don't know you when you sit on that position.
So yes, okay.
I don't know you when you sit as an anchor. I know you as a person, but not as an anchor.
Okay.
Now listen to me. When Yediyurappa was the chief minister, why wasn't this done? Why is BJP doing it now? Because you have elections in April. You want to communalize the atmosphere. BJP has failed in ensuring that corruption is eradicated.
Okay.
Contractors, thousands of schools are saying BJP is taking corruption. Would you do a program on BJP's corruption in
Sir,
Karnataka?
we have done when the chief contract, the head of the Contractors Association committed suicide. We did program. I'm happy to send you links of the same. Anyway, let me ask you.
Listen to me.
Let me ask you one final question.
You had called me about this madrasas.
Yes, of course.
You have deliberately.
Sir, my first 10 minutes was about madrasas.
You have deliberately deviated.
No, I'm not deviating.
Listen to me. What did your
first
your
10
person
minutes,
is right here in front of me.
Sir, first 10, 12 minutes were about
listen
madrasas.
to me. What did Akash told me that it is going to be a debate on madrasas?
Yes.
I already agreed.
Didn't my first 3 or 4 questions, was it not on madrasa? It was on madrasa. Anyway, I'll ask you one final question.
Why did you call me for?
Can I ask you one final question, since in the press conference you referred to the Vostok military operations, and you said, Government of India needs to make it clear. Since you brought in an international affairs topic, let me also ask you one other story that came out today, again concerning international relations, which is the UN report on how China treats its Muslims in Xinjiang. I want to ask Assaduddin Owaisi, does he have a comment about it?
Sir, I am one of the few MPs who has been talking about China. And guess what? Surprisingly, the Prime Minister does not even utter the word China. Let the Prime Minister condemn how Chinese are treating the Muslims in that particular area. Let him do it. The Prime Minister is not even able to condemn, we have lost grazing rights of up to 10 kilometers. 10 villages we have lost 10 villages. 1,000 square kilometer we have lost to PLA. 50,000 soldiers are facing China in Galwan, Depsam, Hot Spring. And we have the cheek to do a military exercise with China. Is this nationalism? Is this BJP government protecting our sovereignty and integrity of country? That one particular country's army has occupied 1,000 square kilometers, 10 kilometers we have lost grazing rights, 10 villages we have lost, and you do a military exercise. Is this your nationalism?
Okay.
As an Indian, it embarrassed me to the core.
All right, Owaisi Saab, thank you very much as always. I hope that all issues have been clarified. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. That was Assaduddin Owaisi, the Hyderabad MP and the head of the AIMIM, talking about the Madrasa issue, the Bangalore Eidgah Maidan story, and of course what he calls the Vostok operations, and why he believes that's an insult to India. Quick break, but news and updates continue on the other side.
The trigger was the family's claim that the patient was not given correct treatment. So they confronted the doctor right in the middle of a ward and assaulted him repeatedly. They punched, slapped, and dragged him across the room. The angry relatives even threw chairs at the doctor. The patient's relatives further vandalized the hospital property. So far, no action has been taken against them.
A BJP delegation comprising Nishikant Dubey, Manoj Tiwari and Kapil Mishra met with the family of the Class 12 girl who died days after being set ablaze by a man in Dumka in Jharkhand. They lashed out at the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, saying that the law and order situation in the state has collapsed while JMM MLAs are busy partying in Raipur. Now, what the BJP is referring to is this now viral video of a Chhattisgarh government vehicle filled with expensive liquor bottles. The vehicle was parked outside the Mayfair Resort in Raipur, where more than 40 MLAs had been shifted to yesterday in order to avoid poaching. The BJP has accused the Jharkhand MLAs of indulging in debauchery. It was a war of videos between AAP MLA Saurabh Bharadwaj and BJP leader Gaurav Bhatia over an alleged school scam in Delhi.
Bhatia had challenged the AAP government to take him to a single school built by them. He alleged that Bharadwaj took him to two schools, claiming that one of them was an old school and was not built by the Aam Aadmi Party, and the second one was still under construction. Then Saurabh Bharadwaj posted his own video, alleging that Bhatia visited a school on his invite, but he refused to enter the school premises and ran away. The war of words and videos between both politicians erupted over the BJP's allegation of corruption in the construction of classrooms of Delhi government schools.
The US Army has grounded its entire fleet of Chinook helicopters, and this is raising some concerns in India as well, because the entire fleet of Chinooks have been grounded over the risk of engine fires. The IAF has sought details from the Chinook maker, Boeing. India is currently, in fact, has about 15 Chinook 47 helicopters. India received the first batch of the Chinooks back in 2019. The Chinooks are usually used in airlift operations. They've been used in Ladakh in the past, as well as in, of course, Siachen. A third Assam Madrasa allegedly linked with Al-Qaeda was demolished today.
A bulldozer rolled into Assam's Bongaigaon area and started razing this madrasa. The demolition comes days after a teacher of the madrasa was arrested for alleged jihadi links.
Certain common things have been found, and out of those common things are some leaflets, are some we can say some flags or some logos of the terrorist banned terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda or Ansarul Islam team.
This is the third madrasa to be demolished in Assam this month for allegedly being hubs of jihadi activities carried out by Al-Qaeda and Bangladesh-based Ansarul Bangla team.
Chief Minister Sahab se
Welcome back. Let's begin with some breaking inputs coming in on the Mutt story. We are learning at CNN News 18 that S.K. Basavarajan has been sacked as the administrator and the secretary of the Mutt. The governing council has appointed the retired judge Vastra Mutt as the administrator and the secretary. This is another big development on the story. And for more details, let's quickly go across to Ritu, who's live with us. Ritu, how significant is this development now?
You say there's a major development that is coming in this story that we are getting to hear of all that is around the Mutt and inside the Mutt as well. So this is a big decision that the governing council had made it. You remember there was a restriction of the movement inside the Mutt for the people as well as for the media personals too. So that was all for this governing council meeting that was taking place inside the Mutt, where all that officials of this the meeting were all present there. And this is the key decision that has been made over there, where they have decided to sack S.K. Basavarajan from his position that he was holding in the Mutt, as in the administrator and the secretary of the Mutt. Now he has been sacked, and in spite of him, the retired judge, that Vastra Mutt, has been given that position. This all comes right after you see a word that was been put out from the seer himself while he addressed the devotees, saying that that's a conspiracy that has been played against him and against the Mutt. This has been for a very long time that he's seen this happening against him. So amid that, this is another major development that has taken place. So our sources confirm us that he's been sacked from his position and the other person has been allowed to take his place now. So this is a big decision that the Mutt officials in the counselling meeting have made it. Now remember, the S.K. Basavarajan is also an accused in this whole incident that has taken place at the Mutt premises, where these two minor girls have accused, including him and his that is also an FIR that was also been registered against him and his wife from a warden of the hostel too. So this is a major development that is coming in, that he's been sacked from his position now.
Absolutely. As the administrator now being sacked, we'll have to wait and watch and see what action is actually taken against this here. Having said that, many thanks to you, Ritu, for bringing in all those details. And for more, it's over to my colleague Ridhima Bhatnagar.
Well, thanks a lot for that. Good afternoon. You continue to be with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. Let's begin with our top focus. There has been a big crackdown on terror by the Assam government on a terror-linked madrasa. Now, the Uttar Pradesh government has also issued instructions to all the district magistrates to conduct a survey of unrecognized madrasas by the 10th of September. The survey team will include the STM, the BSA and district minority officers. AIMIM chief Assaduddin Owaisi has slammed the BJP government for targeting and harassing the madrasas unnecessarily. Meanwhile, AIUDF chief has launched a fresh salvo at the Assam government and said that he will move Supreme Court over the demolition of these madrasas. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, while reacting to the demolition of these madrasas, has said that his government is not specifically targeting madrasas, but if it finds any wrongdoing action, will definitely be taken.
संविधान के आर्टिकल 30 के तहत मुझे एक फंडामेंटल राइट हासिल है कि मैं अपने मदरसे खोलूं, अपने पसंद के एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट्स खोलूं। इसमें सरकार क्यों मुदाखलत करेगी? आप सर्वे क्यों करना चाह रहे हैं? आपको इससे लेना देना क्या है? क्या आप उनकी तनख्वाह दे रहे हैं? जो मदरसा बोर्ड के तहत मदरसे हैं उनकी तनख्वाह तो आप दे नहीं रहे हैं पिछले 4 साल से। ये मदरसे प्राइवेट मदरसे हैं। अब आप एक ऑर्डर जारी कर दीजिए ना कि अब आप मुसलमान मत रहिए, आप कुरान मत पढ़िए, नमाज मत पढ़िए। ऑर्डर जारी कर दीजिए, वही करना चाह रहे आप। ये सर्वे नहीं है बल्कि एक छोटा NRC है। ये
Government of Assam doesn't have any intention to go on demolishing madrasa. Our only intention is to see that madrasas are not used by any jihadi element. Once madrasa are not used for jihadi works or for the purpose of expanding jihadi ideology, then why there will be demolition? But if we got specific inputs on any madrasa, in the guise of madrasa, the institution is being used for expanding jihadi activity, anti-India activity, then we are going to take strongest possible action in each and every case.
And my colleague Pranshu Mishra had a conversation with Danish Azad, the UP Minority Affairs Minister. Let's listen in.
UP government's decision to do a survey of unrecognized madrasas is seeing a lot of political attack also. In fact, Assaduddin Owaisi is saying that it is a clear act of vendetta on the part of Yogi government. I am joined in by the Minority Affairs Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Danish Ansari, to talk more on this issue. Danish ji, आपने ये जो आदेश है इस वक्त की सर्वे करेंगे तमाम DMSPs हर जिलों में गैर मान्यता प्राप्त मदरसों का, क्या है इस आदेश का मूल तत्व, क्या जरूरत पड़ गई इस तरह का एक निर्णय लेने की उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार को?
देखिए, योगी सरकार मुस्लिम नौजवानों के तरक्की के लिए लगातार ग्राउंड लेवल पे ठोस काम कर रही है। मदरसों में हमने NCERT का कोर्स लागू किया, मदरसों को हमने डिजिटलाइज किया, मदरसे के पाठ्यक्रम को हम ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म पर ले आए, ऐप के माध्यम से मदरसे के पाठ्यक्रम को ले आए। हमने NCC NSS को मदरसे से कनेक्ट किया। हर कदम दर कदम हम अपने मुस्लिम युवाओं के विकास को सुनिश्चित कर रहे हैं। उसी दिशा में हमारे पास उत्तर प्रदेश में जो हमारे मदरसा बोर्ड से एफिलिएटेड 16,513 जो मदरसे हैं, उन 16,513 मदरसों के अलावा भी ऐसे कई मदरसे हैं जो मान्यता प्राप्त नहीं है या किसी अन्य बोर्ड से चल रहे हैं। तो ऐसे मदरसों का भी जानकारी होना गवर्नमेंट के लिए इसलिए ज़रूरी है कि गवर्नमेंट कोई भी स्कीम्स निकालती है तो उसके पास एग्जैक्ट आंकड़ा होना चाहिए कि एग्जैक्ट हमारे पास कितने स्टूडेंट्स अभी पढ़ रहे हैं, उनकी क्या ज़रूरतें हैं। ऐसे गैर मान्यता प्राप्त मदरसों में क्या उनको बेहतर शिक्षा व्यवस्था मिल पा रही है, क्या उनको अच्छी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर व्यवस्था मिल पा रही है, क्या वहाँ के फर्नीचर अच्छे हैं, वहाँ पे शिक्षक अच्छी क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन दे पा रहे हैं, टॉयलेट अच्छे हैं। तो ये भी जो मूलभूत जो सुविधाएं हैं छात्रों को मिलनी चाहिए, ये भी सुनिश्चित करना सरकार का काम है और सरकार पूरी ईमानदारी से बिना भेदभाव के अपना काम कर रही है। ये तमाम उसी दिशा में बढ़ाया गया कदम है और ये एक सर्वे है ताकि हमें ग्राउंड की एक एग्जैक्ट रिपोर्ट मिल जाए कि हमारे पास इतने बच्चे हैं और कोई भी हम योजना बनाएं, कोई भी पॉलिसी ले आएँ तो उन योजनाओं का लाभ सीधा उन बच्चों को भी मिले।
यानी कि आप ये बड़ा स्पष्ट कर रहे हैं सर की सरकार का की नियत किसी भी तरीके का टारगेट करना नहीं है कि मतलब आतंकवाद के नाम पर या किसी अलग तरीके की आपराधिक गतिविधियों के नाम पर, यह सिर्फ शिक्षा की गुणवत्ता को बढ़ाने का प्रयास है मदरसों के अंदर।
निश्चित तौर पे शिक्षा की गुणवत्ता अच्छी होनी चाहिए। हमारा मुस्लिम जो यूथ है उसको क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन मिलनी चाहिए, क्योंकि मदरसे में बड़ी संख्या में, लाखों की संख्या में हमारे छात्र पढ़ते हैं। ये हमारे कौम का फ्यूचर डिसाइड करेंगे और किसी को भी यह अधिकार नहीं है कि उनके करियर के साथ, उनके भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ करे। उत्तर प्रदेश की योगी सरकार उनके बेहतर भविष्य के लिए पूरी ईमानदारी से, गंभीरता से काम कर रही है और मैंने आपको गिनाया तमाम योजनाओं से, तमाम प्रयासों से हम उनको बेहतर कर रहे हैं और हम इसी तरीके से सार्थक मन के साथ सबको लेकर, सबके साथ संवाद करके उन्नति की तरफ, तरक्की की तरफ बढ़ेंगे।
मुझे याद है कि इससे पहले भी जब आपसे बात हुई थी तो सरकार की तरफ से इस तरह का आदेश था भी कि वहाँ की हम के करिकुलम को बेहतर करेंगे, नए इंग्लिश को इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे और भी वोकेशनल कोर्सेज को इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे। सवाल ये कि जो मदरसे मान लीजिए जांच में निकल के आते हैं कि मान्यता प्राप्त नहीं है, तो उनका क्या होगा? उनके संदर्भ में कोई अभी कार्रवाई निश्चित है कि किस तरह की कार्रवाई की जाएगी?
देखिए, सर्वे एक पॉजिटिव चीज़ है। सर्वे में हमको वहाँ जानकारी मिलेगी कि मान लीजिए किसी मदरसे में बच्चे अच्छे पढ़ रहे हैं, इंफ्रा की कमी है, वहाँ पे कैसे सुविधा मुहैया कराई जाए, कहीं अच्छी क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन सुनिश्चित करनी है, वो हम करेंगे। हमारा मकसद ये है कि एक हमारे मुस्लिम यूथ को बेहतर सुविधाएं मिले और इसके लिए ईमानदारी से योगी सरकार काम कर रही है और हर चीज़ में नकारात्मक भाव ढूंढना विपक्षियों की जो आदत बन गई है।
तो ओवैसी साहब को क्यों इसमें कुछ शंका हो रही है, आशंकाएं क्यों उनको हो रही हैं?
ओवैसी साहब को इसलिए शंका हो रही है, उनको दिक्कत इसलिए हो रही है कि वो देख रहे हैं कि मुस्लिम आज शिक्षित हो रहा है, मुस्लिम तरक्की पसंद हो रहा है, तो ये जब मुस्लिम शिक्षित हो जाएगा तो उनकी जो उल्टी सीधी बातें हैं उसको सुनना बंद कर देगा, तो उनकी जो राजनीतिक की दुकान है वो बंद हो जाएगी। इसलिए ओवैसी जी को बुरा लग रहा है और इस तरह के बयान देके समाज में कन्फ्यूज़न पैदा करना, वो एक अच्छे लीडर हैं। हमको, मेरी आपसे अपील है कि ओवैसी जी को भी हर सार्थक कदम में
वो कोशिश ये चल रही कि जैसे असम को यूपी से लिंक किया, जैसे असम में अभी कुछ हाल फिलहाल मदरसों को ये कहते हुए कि वो इलीगल एक्टिविटीज़ में, टेररिस्ट उसमें शेल्टर दे रहे थे, तो उनको डिमोलिशन हुआ है मदरसों का असम में, उससे लिंक करके देख रहे हैं। तो आप ये श्योर कर सकते हैं हमारे दर्शकों को कि उस तरीके का कोई प्रयास उत्तर प्रदेश में नहीं है?
उत्तर प्रदेश का एक एक जन, हमारा अल्पसंख्यक समाज और ख़ास तौर पर हमारा मुस्लिम समाज पूरी तरीके से सुरक्षित है और तरक्की की तरफ बढ़ रहा है। किसी को भी डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। हम सब मिलजुल कर एक साथ तरक्की की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं और जो भी व्यक्ति समाज में ऐसा भ्रम फैला रहा है, आम जनता देख रही है कि किस तरीके से समाज को अगर बांटने की कोशिश कोई नेता कर रहे हैं, तो ये भी समाज देख रहा है और ये आज का समाज है, ये जागरूक समाज है, ये तरक्की पसंद समाज है और आज का मुस्लिम पूरी तरीके से जागरूक है, वो अपना अच्छा और बुरा जानता है और इसीलिए हमारे हर कदम में, हर फैसले में हमारे मुस्लिम भाई भी स्वागत करते हैं और उसका हमारा तमाम सहयोग करते हैं। ओवैसी जी को ये क्यों नहीं दिखता है कि मदरसे में जो शिक्षकों की, अभी कल एक और फैसला आया, म्यूचुअल ट्रांसफ़र भी हो सकेंगे, मैटरनिटी लीव भी हमारी जो शिक्षिका हैं, जो कर्मचारी, उनको मिलेगी। हमारे मदरसों में एनसीईआरटी का कोर्स लागू है, हम मदरसों को डिजिटलाइज कर रहे हैं।
And my colleague Pranshu Mishra, in fact, he is now joining us on the broadcast. Pranshu, there are two aspects to what is playing out as far as this Madrasa story is concerned. I want to talk to you specifically about what's happening in Uttar Pradesh. Am I correct to understand that the thinking and rationale of the Uttar Pradesh government is to try and filter those madrasas where the quality of education which is being imparted is either not up to the mark or questionable?
Yes, that's right. See, in fact, what is happening is that the entire madrasa policy of Yogi government is actually being looked into or is being tried to define as per the larger political narrative for which BJP is known. And that is about, that there's often this allegation is that minorities are unnecessarily being targeted. Now, for that matter of fact, and what Danish Ansari also told us is that for the past 5 years, in fact, Yogi Adityanath has been chief minister for more than past 5 years. We have never reported of a case that any madrasa was bulldozed down or, any madrasa was actually targeted or harassed. In fact, even when we have reported upon the terrorist cases, we haven't reported about any ATS case case being, where Madrasa has been zeroed down as a center or as a center of terrorist activities, as has been the case in Assam. That's the reason, and on the basis of that, UP government is trying to come out and say that the only reason we are trying to do this survey is to actually make Madrasa education more accountable, to provide more better infrastructure to the madrasas, and to ensure that the money which goes in for the madrasa in terms of, grants for teachers' salaries or for the infrastructure development or for the scholarship for the poor students, that goes into the right direction. And that's what the UP government is trying to clarify, that no effort should be made to try and equate this policy as an act of vendetta or as a design of vendetta against the madrasas. Rather, it's an act of, trying to streamline the madrasa education. And also the law says that if any educational institution is operational across any board, across any language, it needs to have certain recognition from the concerned state government. That is what the Yogi government is trying to do. But yes, there is of course an effort on the part of political opponents to try and read this exercise in the eyes of larger narrative which is often built against the BJP, that is of the minorities, targeting the minorities.
Okay, Pranshu, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Let me also now bring in our guest. We have political analyst Varun Singh. We also have a Muslim scholar, Maulana Masood Kazmi. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Maulana ji, let me begin with you first, and I want to talk to you specifically what's playing out in Assam. Just in the last 1 week, there have been 3 madrasas that have been bulldozed because of concrete evidence that has been found as to what was happening in those madrasas. Some were giving shelter to people who were associated with terror organizations like the Al-Qaeda subcontinent or Anarsul Bangla. In others, logistical support was also being given. So if there is enough evidence to prove that these madrasas are not being used to impart education but for jihadi or terror activities, why shouldn't they be bulldozed or brought down?
Yes, the point is, if anybody is caught in anti-national activities or in terrorism, harshest action should be taken against him or her, irrespective of religion, caste and creed. But the communal response to the terror is not wise, I think. Yes, educational institution, you are raising the education institution, but what will be the fate of these students? Look, on March 10, 2017, Devendra Gupta and Sunil Joshi of RSS convicted by the court in Ajmer Bilas case. Are you suggesting that the entire RSS organization is terror organization?
But Maulana ji, this is a very bad comparison. I'll tell you why. Because today the Chief Minister, one second Maulana ji, one second. Because today the Chief Minister, Himanta Biswa Sarma, he's clarified that this optics that is being seen as we're targeting madrasas randomly, it's not happening like that. It's only when there is enough evidence, those establishments are being targeted. And as you were speaking about imparting education, this is exactly what I'm saying. This is where we're confusing both. If there is no education that is being provided, but the teachers of the madrasas or the imams themselves are getting involved in terror activities, which is being proven with evidence on the ground, why shouldn't they be targeted?
No. My point is, communal response to the terrorism is not by this step. If any imam arrest them, give her harshest punishment to him. But why are you raising the institutional educational institution? What will the fate of the students?
क्योंकि मौलानी जी वहाँ पर एजुकेशन तो हो ही नहीं रही है ना, वही पॉइंट है कि ये जो मदरसा टारगेट किए गए हैं वहाँ पर एजुकेशन तो हो ही नहीं रही है. या तो लॉजिस्टिकल सपोर्ट दिया जा रहा है या लोगों को पनाह दी जा रही है. But I'll just request you to stay on with us. I quickly want to take एक मिनट बोलिए.
अगर ऐसा है तो देखिए, टेरर कोई कलर नहीं, रिलीजियस कलर नहीं होता इसमें. मैं आपको बताऊं, अभी हमारे मध्य प्रदेश में कई लोग और रूलिंग पार्टी के कई लोग वर कोट स्पाइंग फॉर पाकिस्तान. So are you suggesting that ruling party is also
सर एक तो चीज मैं तो कुछ सजेस्ट ही नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं तो सिर्फ आपसे एक सिंपल सवाल पूछ रही थी. अगर एविडेंस मिला है कि there is involvement in terror activities or jihadi activities, why shouldn't that establishment be brought down? But I'll just request you to stay on with us. I'll request Varun also to stay on with us. I quickly want to take in a word from my colleague Preeti, who in fact has been tracking these developments for us. Preeti, well, yes, on one side political war of words has ensued with the likes of AIMIM and AIUDF saying this is a deliberate targeting of the Muslim community. The Chief Minister is saying it's not happening randomly, it's happening when there is enough evidence. Talk to us about the reactions that you're picking up as far as the AIUDF is concerned. I believe they want to now approach the Supreme Court as well.
Yes, recently, just a few minutes ago, we tried to talk with AIUDF Chief Badruddin Azmal, and he has stated that they do not have any problem with jihadis. They just want them to get proper punishment as per law, but they definitely have some serious problems with the madrasas being demolished, and he has stated that he will go until the Supreme Court, and he has also assured his people today while speaking to them that such kind of things will not be accepted, and the minority community now have also come up saying that if such kind of madrasa demolitions continue, then they will come out for a mass protest. But I again have to talk to you about the local reactions. The people here, the locals here have also stated that they do not have any kind of problem with Hafizur, as this madrasa has serious links with Hafizur. So they want Hafizur to get proper kind of punishments as per law, but they are not really happy with the madrasa being brought down. They are very angry, as we have seen. But yes, again, as we are talking about the political reactions, the reactions of the locals, we also must have to talk about the police reactions, because the Gwalpara SP has also stated that a lot of evidences have been actually found from this madrasa, the madrasa in the Moirabari madrasa, and also the Barpeta SP has stated that a lot of evidences have been found in these madrasas relating to the terror organizations, which is
okay. We seem to have lost that connection with my colleague Preeti, who in fact was helping us understand the multiple political reactions that we are seeing as well, with the likes of AIUDF saying that they want to approach the Supreme Court as far as demolition of madrasas are concerned. But I want to continue the conversation with my guest. Varun, I want to come to you. I want to understand, do you buy the argument that is being made by various opposition parties, right from Assaduddin Owaisi to the AIUDF, that this is all happening as far as a pattern, the BJP does this is just targeting of minorities?
You know, nothing but whataboutery. To be honest, the Imam categorically wanted to divert the topic to different issues. These people, especially when I talk about the 3 madrasas demolished in Assam, all the evidences have been brought out to the fore, presented in the public, and the madrasa that was demolished today has been declared as a dilapidated building too. Coming to Uttar Pradesh, in the last few years, Uttar Pradesh government has given out more than 500 crore rupees to the madrasas. They are providing more facilities to the madrasa teachers. They are providing facilities to the students. They are connecting it to the boards. And now the survey that has been ordered by Uttar Pradesh government, it is very categorical and simple. Those madrasas functioning without the approval of the government, those madrasas which are illegal, they have to be listed down and action to be taken. And the district minority officer in every district has been assigned the task to be part of it. So there is no biased attitude that the government is taking towards any of the madrasas. I fail to understand when there are terror outfit and their links being established so clearly, so evident out there, how can people come and defend it? These places were not being used to impart knowledge related to Islam, but terror. And that is the reason the government has acted. Assam government has taken a step. I think across the country, there is a trend of this sort, and it should continue. And people and service should be
what my larger issue, Varun,
wherever.
also is that in between this bickering of various political parties, we tend to forget that this is not happening because of a certain narrative of a political party. There is also national security, which is at the center of what we are discussing. So if there is infiltration happening, that needs to be checked. If there are terror activities happening, that needs to be checked. If there are jihadi elements present on our territory, that also needs to be checked. And Maulana ji, that's exactly what I want to understand. Today, the issue of national security is at the heart of what is playing out in Assam. That there are links proven with terror outfits like Al-Qaeda subcontinent and Anarsul Bangla. Why should action not be taken against those? Why should you get into a political war of words when national security is at the heart of it?
Hello.
Maulana ji.
Hello.
जी जी हम सुन सकते हैं, बताइए.
Can you hear me?
जी जी सुन सकते हैं.
हाँ जी, देखिए सवाल ये है, nobody, no true Indian can ask that can go against terrorism. can go in favor of terrorism. We all are against terrorism. We are saying that the eliminate terror activities, terror activities, but do not defend the community. Do not say that the diseducation,
Maulana ji, you cannot have double
is
talks.
entirely
No one is defaming the community. किसी ने ये नहीं कहा. मौलाना जी डबल टॉक नहीं कर सकते ना. आप कह रहे हो कि टेररिज्म के खिलाफ सरकार को एक्ट करना चाहिए. And when the government is acting, you bring a religious color to it, saying कि it is against our community, it is against our religion. Who said it is against any religion? The action is being taken on evidences. The madrasas demolished, their teachers, their links have been established by the police, and it is categorically that action that you are saying that no Indian can be supporting any terrorist. That is what
मौलाना जी यही चीज चीफ मिनिस्टर हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा ने भी आज कैटेगोरिकली बोला है कि हम सिर्फ मदरसास को टारगेट नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम हर उस एस्टैब्लिशमेंट को टारगेट कर रहे हैं जहां अनलॉफुल एक्टिविटीज या जहां पर एक्टिविटीज रेड फ्लैग्स क्रिएट कर रही हैं. तो इसमें हम कम्युनल कलर कौन दे रहा है फिर उसको?
देखिए, इसमें अगर आप ये कह रहे हैं कि पूरा मदरसे पूरे मदरसे का इंटायर स्टाफ,
ये तो कोई कह ही नहीं रहा है ना मौलाना जी, आप समझ ही नहीं रहे. ये तो हम कह ही नहीं रहे, कोई भी नहीं कह रहा है कि सारे मदरसों में गलत काम हो रहा है, बट हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जहां पर गलत काम हो रहा है उनको क्यों नहीं टारगेट करना चाहिए?
जो लोग गलत काम कर रहे हैं उनको अरेस्ट कीजिए. बट व्हाट इज द सीन ऑफ दोस स्टूडेंट्स हु हैव बीन डिप्राइव्ड फ्रॉम द एजुकेशन? विल द आसाम गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड द इंस्टीट्यूशन फॉर देयर एजुकेशन?
इलीगल मदरसे चले?
नहीं, इलीगल कोई नहीं चले. इलीगल मदरसे बिल्कुल.
Sir, that really is the question. One, is education even being imparted in these madrasas? And secondly, most of them are now turning out to be actually illegal establishments which have no documents to prove when and where they were, when the timeline of their construction happened. Those are the questions that is being raised. Unfortunately, Maulana ji, I will have to leave the conversation there.
They are illegal construction first in court, then raise them.
Okay, Maulana ji, unfortunately, I'll have to leave the conversation there. Varun, I appreciate you joining us here as well. We have to shift our focus to some other details coming in. And this is an update coming in the Karnataka seer case. Accused Rashmi, the warden of the Mutt's residential wing, has been detained and the police is questioning her. The police is likely to question the chief seer as well. Remember, this is exactly where the criticism has been coming in for the Karnataka police and also raising questions against the state government that why this seer hasn't been questioned so far and why he hasn't been arrested. You have the POCSO Act which is in play as well. Statements of the victims have been recorded as well. But the seer hasn't been taken for his medicals, hasn't been questioned and hasn't been arrested as well. And politicians continue to make a beeline at the Mutt as well. But first, let's really understand what's happening as far as these developments are concerned. My colleague Ritu is now joining us on the broadcast. Ritu, what are you picking up as far as accused Rashmi is concerned? When is that questioning likely to take place?
So you see, the Rashmi is in fact already being detained from the police, and the questioning is taking place, and they are also drilling her in this whole incident. She is also an A2 accused in this incident, and so that's the kind of an action that the police has taken now, and their questioning is on with all that is related. So with this whole incident, so she is the warden of the hostel. You see, there have been allegations that have been raised against her also by these minor girls. But then Rashmi also went on to file an FIR almost then only like back 1 week back. So she too had filed an FIR against the administrator SK Baswarajan, raising an allegation that she was also being sexually abused by the administrator. So with all that regards, the police is taking this investigation on in all that angles now.
Okay, and Ritu, what about the seer himself? Because the questions now that are being raised is, once POCSO is in play, why is there no arrest taking place? He hasn't been taken for his medicals as well. Can we see this entire case being expedited now?
Yes, so the fear is also likely that the police is going to detain him for this questioning, and with all that, there will also be a questioning with the seer too, because this is a sensitive, case. With all that, they are going to take this questioning up now that slowly, because the pressure, the kind of pressure that has been mounted on the state government from the protesters, from the peoples, and as well as from the activists. So you see this kind of a step is coming forward now where the police is taking up further steps of whether detain of the warden and taking up the questioning session now, and then likely that they are going to detain the seer too for questioning. So these are the kind of decisions that the police had made and are looking forward to it in this whole incident.
Okay, but Ritu, I want to understand, how is the police explaining the lapses as far as this investigation is concerned, and also more importantly the delay, because this is also coming at a time when politicians across party lines want to be extremely guarded and cautious on what they're saying because of the clout as far as the Lingayat community is concerned. Many continue to visit the Mutt as well. So why isn't the police taking over the premises of the Mutt?
Yes, that's a kind of a pressure that has also been mounted on the police, because usually you see in such a cases there has been a strict action and immediate reactions from the police had come in, but this is for the first time where you're getting to see what exactly is taking place in this whole incident where a seer is in fact being there is no likely actions that are taken against the seer. Things are being dragged purposefully. The kind of allegation that the protesters are also raising, and the activists too are being questioning this one. So that's something that we see how the police is reacting to this whole incident of taking things very lightly and taking their own time. But also police say that this is a very complicated incident. So that's the one point that the police will have to look after to all that angles, and will have to take those further steps, because previously he was also being stopped at in Haveri when he was trying to move out of the Mutt. So he was sent back to the Mutt premises again for the same thing that the investigation process is on, and he should not leave. So that is something you see the police has taken a cognizance of, and they have also deployed huge police at the Mutt premises to ensure that all the gates are being monitored of the Mutt very closely from the police side, because they also have this kind of the police is also suspecting and also has that in their mind of a seer moving out any places. But though he had told that he will be cooperating with the police and will also abide all those rules and the regulations of what the law has to say, he will cooperate is something that he has told to police and to the devotees as well the other day when he addressed them at the Mutt premises. But now, yes, the police is taking these steps because the kind of pressure that mounted today, where protesters also get out the DC's vehicle and they were demanding for the justice and were asking that why is there a delay in this incident when in other cases there has been immediate action that has come in from the police. Is police scared of someone? The government is trying to save the seer because he is powerful, and he also at the Mutt and the community plays a major role when it comes to the election polls.
And the larger issue of politicians already giving him a clean sheet even before the investigation has taken place. But Ritu, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We'll keep tracking all those developments. For now, slipping into a very short break.
If Chinese forces were to even dare enter Taiwanese territory.
As China increases military activities near Taiwan, Taipei is not taking things lying down. Taiwan warned that it will exercise its right to self-defense and counterattack if Chinese forces enter its territory.
We will maintain seamless surveillance of PRC activities and adopt the stance of the closer to the island, the stronger the countermeasures to respond to PRC intrusion and attempt.
The warning comes a day after drones from China flew over Taiwan's outposts. Taiwan's troops fired live ammunition, and the drones ultimately returned to China. China has been provoking Taiwan ever since US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island last month. Ballistic missiles have been fired, Chinese warships have been launched, and PLA warplanes have breached the median line.
Meanwhile, Taiwan is using what it calls the porcupine strategy to fight back in case China attempts to occupy it by force. It is adopting a 3 defensive layer strategy to prevent the PLA from invading. The outer layer, it has intel as well as reconnaissance missions to try and keep the forces fully prepared. Then there is the middle layer, which is guerrilla warfare at sea with aerial support. And then, of course, with the innermost layer, which relies on geography as well as demography of the island, the ultimate objective is surviving as well as assimilating an aerial offensive against China. Mikhail Gorbachev, the man who changed the course of history by triggering the collapse of the Soviet Union, died in Moscow. He was 91 years old. Gorbachev helped bring US-Soviet relations out of a deep freeze and was the last surviving leader of the Cold War. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1990. India will be taking part in joint military drills with Russia, China and several other countries. The opening ceremony of Vostok 2022 was held today. The military exercises will be on from the 1st of September till the 7th in different locations in the Far East and the Sea of Japan. It'll involve more than 50,000 troops. The United States
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. We continue to track developments as far as the case which took place in Chitradurga and why the Lingayat seer still hasn't been arrested. What my colleagues are now picking up, that it is a possibility that we could see the questioning of this seer today, but he still hasn't been brought in for questioning. He hasn't been taken for his medical, or of course the arrest also hasn't happened. We're understanding another accused, the warden of the Mutt, has also now been brought in for questioning. If my colleague is Ritu, is already with us, okay, we'll try and establish that connection with her. But a lot of questions still remain. And as I was discussing with my colleague a short while ago, what is even more unfortunate is the fact that a lot of politicians, they're not only extremely guarded and cautious with what they're saying, but they seem to have given a clean chit to this year already, with the likes of B.S. Yedurappa, who had said that this is all a conspiracy, even D.K. Shivakumar, who had said that he's a noble man, he's done a lot of good work for the society. Well, that might be true, but at the same time, these allegations are extremely grave, and if you don't take any action, what is the message that you're sending to the victim? I'll take all those questions to my colleague in just a bit. Let's take a look at this report that has been filed by Ritu.
It's been a long time that the delay has been made in this whole investigative process too. Why is there no justice that has been given to this the Dalit community, and specifically that the two minor girls are involved in this whole incident? But this is not just one in protest that we are getting to see. There has been an immediately continuous protests that are taking place in the Chitradurga from Dalit community in specifically. We saw it from past 3-4 days that they are raising the slogans. They are demanding for an immediate arrest. You see that the banner they are also holding has the Ambedkar's picture and the seer's photo too, where there's a cross mark there. Question is also being raised against the police for not taking up this whole incident seriously. There are, you see, can be heard saying that arrest him immediately. That's the slogans that are being raised here.
So as we pointed out, the anticipatory bail plea of the Lingayat seer Shivamurthy has been deferred till tomorrow. The police has questioned the warden of the Mutt and is likely to interrogate the seer as well. The seer, who, as I pointed out, was booked under POCSO Act, continues to enjoy high-profile political visits despite the accusations of sexually harassing two minor girls at his Mutt. The two girls were also produced in the court and their statements were recorded. The apex child rights body, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, the NCPCR, has asked the Karnataka police to conduct an inquiry into the matter, ensuring that the victims' identities are not disclosed during this probe. It asked the SP to furnish a detailed report of the case within 7 days. So will action take place finally, or will we continue to see these delaying tactics in this investigation simply because political parties today are extremely scared to lose their vote bank because of the clout that the Lingayat community enjoys? As I said, what is even more unfortunate is the fact that a lot of politicians have already come out and given a clean chit to this year. B.S. Yedurappa said there is no truth to this, he'll come out clean. D.K. Shivakumar said he's a noble man who's worked for the state. Baswaraj Bommai, the Chief Minister, said police given full freedom, the truth will come out. H.D. Kumaraswamy said government must deal with this case sensitively. I believe my colleague Ritu is now joining us on the broadcast. Ritu, this is what we were discussing a short while ago. What is even more unfortunate with this case and investigation is that politicians have already come out and taken sides and given a clean chit to this year. which has raised a lot of questions as far as the condition of the victims in this country are concerned.
Yes, so you have pointed out that very much right. You see, there are all the politicians who are in fact backing this year in one or the other way, saying that the investigation process is on and the law will take its own course. But of course, this is something that we also are getting to see the open backing and the support coming in from the politicians and the big profiles. But in fact, there's no support that is pouring in for these minor girls. There's hardly any leader who had spoken, who have raised voice, because that's the kind of a fear that is that can be seen among these the political parties, because the elections are coming up and this is something very much risky for them to speak out as well, because the electoral polls are, end of the day, what matters to them is kind of an allegation that the protesters have also raised during the protest, but they are demanding for a regular justice now.
Ritu, what are the kind of protests that you are seeing, or voices coming in from various activists?
Yes, so you see, the activists have went on to write a letter to the governor too. But yes, this is all something that the kind of an action that is taking place. The protesters are saying that is the politicians, is the state government scared of the seer, because that's the kind of a power that this Mutt holds and the seer too holds here. So is there a kind of a fear that the state government has, or the police has also been pressurized by some big people, is the kind of an allegation that these protesters are making. But of course, this is something we'll have to see that what exactly is going to take place further in the case of investigation process.
Okay, Ritu, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Shifting focus then. The political tussle between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP doesn't seem to be ending in the national capital. After the Delhi Assembly reconvened, ruckus erupted inside the house as BJP protested against liquor and